Hey polyphonic.org. This week in the blog, we're going to talk about something that everyone has to do, which is large ensemble playing or singing, just general large ensemble music making, and what it takes to be good at this. Because the one thing that you never want when you walk away from a large ensemble rehearsal is to be having the people who are sitting around you being like, oh my gosh, I hate playing with that person. So here are a few tips on how to play really well in large ensembles. First rule about playing in large ensembles: know your place. The person at the front of the section is going to play very differently from the person in the back of the section, and the person in the middle of the section is going to be playing differently from either of those players. The person in the front of the section should be playing in a slightly more demonstrative fashion, giving more cues and things like that. The person in the back of the section should be watching up ahead and watching the bows, or watching the heads of the wind player who's in front of you or whatnot, to make sure that you're playing with them. And it's really important to know also whom to look at as well, because it's going to change from time to time. Generally speaking, when it comes to cues, you very rarely actually look directly at the conductor. Generally speaking, you look either at your section leader or at whoever else it is you're playing with. Because no one's going to notice if you're not with the conductor. But if you're not with the rest of your section, people are going to notice that. So pay attention to who it is you're supposed to be paying attention to, and put some thought into it as well. That leads me to the second point about playing in large ensembles. Don't be a hero. Don't be that guy who says, you know what, it says forte, so I'm going to play forte, darn it, I don't care that the rest of my section is only playing mezzo something. Don't do that. Don't be that guy, because then you're that guy who's sticking out. You're not contributing to a large ensemble sound. You're just doing your own thing, and you're not doing anyone any favors, and you're making everyone sound bad. Just don't do it. Fit in with everyone else. But with that said, the flip side of that is you shouldn't necessarily play in a tentative fashion. You should play strongly and supportively, but you should play into whatever sound you're trying to create. Which leads me to my next point, which is be aware of your instrumentation, or what combinations you're playing in. One of the things that I find to be so cool about large ensemble playing is the fact that you're going to be playing in tons and tons of different instrumental combinations in any given concert. You can be playing just in like a mini clarinet section, or in a slightly larger wind section, or there are more unusual combinations, like Gustav Mahler does lots of things with combining brass instruments with string tremolos, and that creates its own unique sound. In order to be a successful large ensemble musician, you really need to be aware not just of what you're doing, but what the people around you are doing. Who are you doubling? Who are you playing with? What kind of a sound are you doing? If you're playing with a full string section, that's going to be a very different sound than if you're playing just an individual instrumental solely, or if you're playing with an unusual instrumentation group. So be aware of all of that. Be musical. Dynamic contrast. I'm going to touch on this later on when I do my audition series, but I'm convinced one of the biggest things that's evolved in my playing since I started winning auditions was dynamic contrast. It's all about the dynamic contrast. Probably 60 to 70% of all of the musicality that comes out of large ensembles is all about the dynamic contrast. So don't be afraid to be, really out there with your fortes, and be really, really brave about how softly you're playing your pianos. Lastly, move. Breathe together. Don't just sit there and be that player who's, okay, I have my posture and I'm good, just going to play now. No, you should move with the music a little bit. You should move with your section mates. Now, I know that there are some teachers out there who suggest that you shouldn't move, and from time to time, I'm actually one of them. I think that, you have to have a really solid knowledge of your body and how it moves and what parts contribute to playing the instrument, and to make sure that, so to speak, you're not playing the clarinet with your knee. But with that said, I was at the National Orchestral Institute a couple of years ago, and we studied with some members of the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra. And the one thing that they said that they do every single time is they move. They physically move with the music, and they find that that actually really aids them to be moving and to be musical together, so that you're not just sitting there and fitting in. You're not just being a passive orchestral or band player, but you're actively creating. And if you and your sand partner move together, or you and your section mates move together, then that really creates co-musicality rather than everyone following each other. And that was our experience. You know, they made my chamber orchestra, you know, they made us move together, and every single time we moved physically together, lo and behold, the music moved together as well. And it was big, and it was musical, and it was just very good. So, those are my tips for great large ensemble music making. To recap, number 1, know your place. Number 2, don't be a hero. Number 3, be aware of the instrumentation that you're playing with. Number 4, be musical. Really hammer in on that dynamic contrast. And number 5, move together and breathe together. That really is the keystone to great orchestral and band and choir music making, is being willing to move together, because when you move together, the music moves as well. So, that's that, and I'll see you next time.